Unicorn Nation. How's it going? Max Finn here with another episode of the Unicorn Perspective. Today I got to sit down with Brian Moran, the founder of Samcart. We've been using Samcart for a long time. It's one of the earliest kind of memories I have in e-com and Facebook ads and stuff. This is back when they kind of first started. I remember building out a bunch of different, they were at the time really just focused on checkout. It was a very simple page, but like mainly on checkout for different ebooks and stuff we were doing for Kevin Harrington, people back in the day. And it's amazing to see how far they've come as a company, doing amazing things, but still staying hyper focused in their lane, which is something we talked about in the interview today. We covered a wide range of topics as usual on the show. And it's great to get insight from such a successful digital marketer, such a successful entrepreneur, business owner, somebody that's been in the industry for quite some time, but at a very different kind of entrance into industry than I did. He came from kind of the corporate, the 9 to 5 world, and then started Samcart. So it's interesting to get his perspective on the challenges of going from that to then starting something when having a family already. So just a lot of great stuff, so many gems, so many interesting kind of paths that this conversation goes down. You're going to enjoy it. Stay tuned. Coming right up with Brian Moran. All right, Brian, what's up, brother? So, you and I were just chatting before I hit the record button, and I need to do a better job of this, like letting people know ahead of time. I should just say, like, as soon as we go, like I hit like call on Skype, we just start recording, because a lot of times I get like some of the best stuff, some of the best conversation just start happening naturally.
Yep.
I always joke like, Nick Shackelford and I were chatting. This is like a few weeks ago on here, and we were just chatting for like 35 minutes to catch up. And I was like, oh crap, we got to schedule. Like I had to start recording stuff. We already covered so much cool stuff. I was like, I wish I just recorded it, and then we'd have that episode done already and be good to go. But
Call up Skype. They probably have it in their database somewhere.
yeah, I'm
They
sure
say
it's stored.
record it. They do.
Yeah, without our knowledge, it's all right. I'll just ask them. But what we were chatting about was you had some friends and people family friends and stuff that are running local businesses that are kind of being forced to do things, whether it's like turn their a gym or a ballet studio into an info product, digital product, or it's somebody that's used to selling brick and mortar and just point of sale, and now it's, hey, I got to sell things online. And what's interesting, and I want to go to you on this, like, do you think what we're seeing right now is shortening the adoption curve of technologies, like specifically e-commerce, that were inevitably going to happen, but it might have taken maybe 5 more years before it became like totally like universal across every business, small business, big business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest. I mean, there were a bunch of reasons why I started Samcart back in 2014, but everyone didn't. I'm not some psychic or fortune teller. Everyone can see that things are moving online and that e-commerce is growing way faster than retail. And offline sales. I forget the numbers now, but I'm pretty sure it's eclipsed it, or it's getting pretty close. But the trends show that whenever that point in the future is, that more sales will be made online than offline. And it was just kind of a slow and steady pace. And, who knows when that day would have come or when it will come. But, you have older folks that, kind of slow that down because they don't trust buying online yet. But they're getting more and more comfortable with it. More people, people are buying more and more on Amazon now. So the trend was going in that direction. And yeah, I think this sped it up like crazy. I mean, it forced a lot of businesses. We were talking about the ballet studio right before this. My mother-in-law runs a ballet studio. It's been in our hometown for 35 years. Never did anything on the internet. Everything was, swipe a card when they get to the studio. It's all in person. And the whole COVID thing shut them down. I mean, completely. They basically go on the school system schedule, and we're in Maryland here, and school's out, just like almost, I think, everywhere else right now. No one's back yet.
Yeah.
But so she's left with nothing, no way to make money, no nothing. And so obviously my wheels start turning, and I'm talking to her because I've helped them on the online marketing side to reach moms and dads that have little kids in the area. So we've been doing a lot of online marketing. Their site's a lot better. So we've kind of built this foundation that's now ready to sell something online. So the question is, well, what do they sell? I mean, you come from the info product world, so it's very easy to see the opportunity that, hey, if you can get your teachers to stand in front of a camera and record anything, something, just give these the young girls that go to the studio, give them something to do at home that their parents, will get some value from, whether it's because their kid's driving them nuts or their kid needs to like get off the Xbox or, stop playing with toys and actually start moving around. So look, tell all your teachers, make some videos. I'll throw it up on a site somewhere and we'll charge people to get access to it. And I bet you it will sell. The good news is she's got a couple hundred actual families that are in the studio. And because of some of the marketing that we've done, she has this leads list of 3,000 people in the area. So I'm doing the math in my head and I'm like, I think we could probably, if we sell this thing for $50, I'm pretty sure, based on what, me and you have a pretty good feel for how things are going to convert, what percentage of folks we think we can get to buy something. So I start doing the math in my head and I tell her, I'm pretty sure we can make, somewhere around 5 or 10 grand. And she has all her teachers do it. They sent me an unbelievable amount of videos. I think I bit off more than I could chew there. I got like 75 videos back that I ended up having to like edit, put on the online. It's like, it's crazy, but it's fun because, they had nothing else going for them. So we did a big kind of mini promo to the list of current students and all their leads. And I think right now the tally it's like almost $5,000 worth of sales. That is pure profit. Like no rent was paid to get that done. She had to pay, the teachers to do it, which wasn't a whole lot. And it kept their business alive. And now she has this asset that she can sell, like that you can see in her head, the power of the internet, the fact that you can take content, and content's not selling information, whether it's a video or an ebook or whatever, isn't perfect for every business. A hairdresser can't really do that unless they're going to make tutorials on how to teach you how to cut your own hair, which a lot of people don't want to do, but yeah. I'm sure somebody would buy it, but it's just not the same. But it worked for a dance studio. It would work for a gym. It would work for a lot of businesses. And now she's got this asset that she can sell again and again. And at least it's something to keep her afloat, help her pay her mortgage while things are shut down. And she should, in my opinion, continue to sell that thing to all leads and customers for the rest of time. I mean, there's no reason not to. So another business we were talking about is that local hardware store that all their stuff it's all on offline. Obviously, people have to come into the store. They started trying to figure out how to sell face masks on Facebook. They made a post, got like 500 people calling in and texting into their store, and they were running orders like over the phone at the machine trying to place orders. And she got a hold of me through a mutual friend and was like, hey, I don't have enough people to field all these calls. Is there a way we can make this easier? It's like, yeah, there's this thing called the internet where you can make a page that shows the product, that lets them actually enter in their own info. You don't have to talk to anybody, and the product can be delivered or they can come pick it up. And it's just funny how the offline world is still, talking to those folks makes you realize why the internet didn't just take over all business overnight, because to a lot of people, it's just foreign. They don't understand how it works. But slowly over time they're learning. But to get back to your original question, this whole thing made them figure it out and have to learn what it is and how it works fast. And, there was no time to wait. They had rent to pay. They had people to pay, so yeah, in the end, that was
It is amazing. And so I've been listening to somebody I'm a fan of on a content side, different views on certain things, maybe politically, but like pretty aligned with like Scott Galloway. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a
little bit.
Yeah, like a brilliant author, kind of futurist. He's also a professor. And what he's been talking a lot about, which is interesting and it's fascinating to me, is like what's happening right now. And then, what we can do, we can go past COVID and we'll talk about the future and all kinds of exciting stuff that's not as depressing and sad. But it kind of aligns with what you were just sharing. We have this kind of pseudo capitalist world right now where it's like, it's capitalism on the way up, right? It's like every man and woman for themselves when you're starting up and growing. But when stuff gets really bad, right? When shit hits the fan, it's like kind of becomes like socialism for like bigger companies and they, the airlines and the cruise lines and stuff. It's like, okay, you guys are too big, or the banks. So you took big risks and you got the upside and now things are bad. But what's interesting for the rest of us, so all the small businesses, is like you have no option now, right? Like it's survival. And what's amazing is when you're put in a situation where your only option is I need to innovate and try new things or I lose everything. Right? Like you said, it's a 35-year-old business. It's crazy what's happening right now. You have people that have companies that have been maybe family businesses. They've been in generations of their family, whether it's a bar or a restaurant or a gym or whatever it might be, like on the verge of losing all of that. And
Yep.
it's amazing what happens when people are put against the wall, right? It's like I have an option here. It's either I can just shut things down and put my head in the sand and hope this passes and hope that any PPP program I get keeps me afloat until the other side, or I need to say, hey, well, I'm a gym, and guess what? All my members still need to work out. They might need to work out more because they're stressed or anxious, and they don't know what to do. So I'm going to record, my personal trainers doing workouts for them, and I'm going to give it for a maybe a small fee, or I'm going to give it for free to people to keep them existing as existing members, and then I'm going to sell it to everyone else. Like there's so many things people can be doing right now, and it's fascinating seeing the people that are adopting new technologies and trying new things, and then the group of people that are just like, I give up. And it's sad because a part of it's true capitalism in that sense, where it's just people that take risks and adopt and push forward, they survive and thrive, and people that don't, they fail. And that's kind of a true free market. But what's great with like the Ballet Studio and these other people you're talking about is you're not just doing this today as a supplementary income stream that's temporary. It's like, no, you now have a whole new income stream, right? If you're the Ballet
Yep.
Studio and when things open back up, like you don't just turn that off. Guess what? Maybe now you have a whole new business model where you can actually reach more people than just your local community. You can teach ballet to people in different cities, different states, different countries. And now you have two
Yep.
income streams instead of one. And that's what's really exciting, I think, for the small businesses that are figuring this out right now, is like when things get back to normal, they're going to be in a better spot because now they're going to be growing faster. They're going to have more income. They can hire more. They can invest more. And that's what's exciting to me, is seeing the other side of this when we come out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's like any, tough time in history. I mean, there's a lot of pain, and you can't overlook all that. It's real for a lot of people. Luckily, for you and me being online to begin with, it wasn't that bad of a thing. For a lot of people, it's actually a good thing as far as business is concerned. But a lot of times that's when some of the biggest businesses are started. I mean, you look at the
Mm-hmm.
Great Depression, all the companies that came out of that. The entrepreneur will find a way. The innovator will find a way. It will be painful. I mean, that's life. We can't predict these things. You can only kind of roll with the punches and figure out a way you know, to turn a situation that's as bad as this into something that hopefully is good on the other side. But yeah, it's fun to watch businesses that a lot of people would have written off and say, they'll never figure it out. They'll never figure out the online thing. I think a lot of us in the online world kind of hopefully will come out of this looking at them a little bit differently, because a lot of them have figured it out and are way better off because of it. And yeah, it's been fun to help, just two local businesses on my end. I'm sure there's a bunch more out there that other folks are helping and they're figuring out on their own. But yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah. So let's talk about the future. Like what's always been fascinating to me is technology and software companies. My first company that I started while I was still in college was a tech startup, and obviously, as you can tell, the fact that I'm not retired right now, it did not pan out the way that tech startups pan out. We did the Silicon Valley thing, and we ran it for 2 years and raised all the money, and we had a big tech team and all that good stuff. What was challenging, remember, during that 2 year period was like with what we do on performance marketing, right? Like obviously we need to know future trends, we need to know consumer trends and stuff, but what we do on a day-to-day basis, we can operate in the now, and we have a lot of data and stuff for historical data to decide what we want to do going forward. We're looking maybe a few weeks out, maybe a few months out. But when you're building a technology company, when you're building a software company, you need to be working on things today for that are going to release 6 months from now, a year from now. And you need to be then mapping out features 2 years from now and 3 years from now. And technology is changing faster and faster and faster. It might have been easier to do that maybe 5, 10 years ago, 20 years ago when things were slower and it was consumer behavior has changed slower, right? So I'm curious, like with what you're doing at Samcart, and every time I check out your site and look at things like, it seems like you always have new features. You're always adopting and you're always innovating. So I'm curious, like just mentally as the kind of the leader of that company, and that was your baby, like how do you even approach that? Like it's a super broad question, but just like mentally, how are you approaching like this is where we should go? These are the features we need to add. This is what's important to people, even if they don't know it's important to them today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you number one, you have to love the industry that you're in. I think a lot of that, those things you don't have to plan or have a plan really to figure out how to, the famous Wayne Gretzky saying, be where the puck's going to be. If you love the market that you're playing in, you should by default have a feel for where things are moving because you're constantly looking at it day in and day out. If you're not constantly looking at the market you're playing in day in and day out, you're never going to be ahead of anybody. You're just going to follow whoever's ahead of you. So that's kind of the 30,000 foot view. But for me, I mean, I love e-commerce. I love looking at what are the emerging technologies that possibly could change the game for our customers and help them sell more. That's why we at Samcart just focus on the e-commerce side. We don't, envision having a massive platform that gets into email marketing or membership courses or, all the other things that kind of these all-in-one platforms tend to do, because I like to focus and I like to be best in class for what we do. And I think that's what we've built. And that's where we're going, is to be the place where if you run your business on our platform from the e-commerce standpoint, you're going to flat out make more money with us than you will with someone else, because we are constantly looking at what new technologies, whether it's digital wallets like Apple Pay or Google Pay, or different ways to bill your customers, whether it's payment plans or subscriptions or free trials or whatever it is at the time. How can we give you a better chance at convincing people to buy your product? And that can be done 1,000 different ways. And not just convince them to buy, but there's a lot of ways you can lose money as a business owner. For example, if you sell subscriptions, what happens when somebody's card declines? Like little things like that, we obsess over and look at the entire landscape, what technologies are out there, how can we use them to both help our customers convert more of their own customers, lose less revenue at the same time, decrease cart abandonment, decrease failed subscriptions, all those things in our little world we obsess over. And so in the end, kind of my game plan for staying ahead of all of it and figuring out what do we build now for where the business is going to be, it's kind of half gut, half experience. I think we've gotten better at it because we've been doing this now for 6 years. I've been selling stuff online on my own for 4 or 5 years before that. So I think it just comes with experience. I think I'll be better at it in 5 years than I am today. But,
Yep.
In the end, you kind of have to take a gamble. No one can tell the future. In the end, you kind of have to trust your gut, trust your experience, get advice from as many people as you possibly can, and then just make a call and say, look, this is where we're going to put our eggs in this basket. And in the end, hopefully you turn out right and,
Yeah. The big takeaway, what I've always been super impressed with specifically what you guys do. And it's something that we learned the hard way. And I think it's a takeaway that anybody listening to this, watching this, can like implement directly into their business and it'll 100% make you more successful, is focus. We spent so long at Unicorn chasing opportunities. We had a big problem. Like our problem out of the gate was we always had more opportunities coming to us than we had resources and bandwidth to execute on. And so for the first year we were in business, we had shiny object syndrome. We had an agency. We had an info business. We were doing all these different things, taking on these clients, running ads for them, building out our own courses, building out our own, Facebook groups, doing all this stuff. And what would happen inevitably, and this is what happens to anybody that tries to chase too many things at one time, is it's like you get one thing. Oh, wow, courses. We're selling millions of dollars of courses. This is here. Oh, but there's this, really cool client over here. So let's go do this. And so you go over here and do this. This goes up, but this goes down. And then you go back to this to get this back up. And you're on the seesaw forever.
Yep.
And it took us, like, it's sad to say, but like being transparent, like it took us over a year and a half to figure that out. Like we sat down as partners in our company, Jeremy and I, just like, what are we doing wrong? Like we are just, we're at the top of our industry in terms of our network. We know all the best people. Like we know how much money they make. We know how well they're doing. Like we have all the same things they have in terms of resources, connections, opportunities, but we're not achieving what we should be achieving.
Yep.
And what we came back with was we're just not focused. We're doing too many things at once and we're doing a half-ass job at all of them. And so we decided as a company, we're going to divide and conquer. We're going to build real teams and focus on one project. And so we have people on our team that all they do is focus on our internal properties, our political brand. We have people on our team that all they do is focus on performance. We got rid of a lot of stuff. We got rid of our agency. We got rid of all these things that, made us a good amount of money, but like there weren't long-term opportunities. Weren't building an asset. And so with what you do, like you could have easily went the route of the all-in-one platform, which I think is the route a lot of people went down, right? And we're not obviously not going to name names or anything, but like anybody that builds funnels or does anything knows that there was a path people took. Some people went and said, we want to give you all in one. We're going to build out a platform. And that's great in theory. And I think it adds a lot of value to beginners and people. But it's also hard to, if you're going to include 25 different types of features and benefits that are all in different areas of business in a platform, you really can't be the best at all of them. Like you can
Yep.
do a decent job at all of them. And so
Yep.
you have a lot of things. It's convenience, but they're not going to be the best. With what you guys did, we focus on creating really, really fast, seamless, high converting e-com sales pages and the checkout processes that maximize conversion rate, maximize your AOV, and like we double and triple down on that. And I'm sure you have a better way of saying it, but just from like on the outside, that's what I've always kind of seen is that's your lane, what you focus in. So I'm curious, like when you started Samcart, was that the plan? Day one was like, hey, we want to keep this thing hyper focused and we're going to stay in this lane until an exit, or hey, we're going to get hyper focused, we're going to build out the best checkout kind of page builder and funnel builder for that, and then we're going to, once we have that solid, then we're going to expand and do this, and then we're going to expand and do this.
We kind of had a couple plans in the beginning. I mean, at first it was all Samcar could do was build a checkout page and a one-click upsell. That was our biggest pain point back then. We were using Infusion, so we had to kind of custom code a bunch of stuff to get that same result. It just became annoying. So we said, look, let's solve this problem. I know there's a bunch of other people with that problem, and I think this could turn into the business that we always wanted to build. We were doing great as an info product brand back then, but I wanted to build something bigger, and I kind of wanted a new challenge to overcome because we felt like we had sort of not hit a plateau, but we've done everything there was to do in the info product space. We knew all the biggest players. We did $1 million launches. We had tens of thousands of customers, and it, to be honest, just got a little bit boring. I think that's kind of the plague of all entrepreneurs is the fun of all of this is new challenges. And I think it can be a blessing and a curse. But so for us, it turned out so far to be a blessing, thank God. But it just stayed super focused on checkout pages and upsells and reporting because those were the biggest needs for us. And then we said, look, let's just see where this goes. And over the years, I mean, it might look like we stayed focused on the front end publicly, but if I went over my computer right there, I could go dig up wireframes and almost MVP products, like fully built software for webinars, email marketing, and membership course creation. And so I went down that same rabbit hole. Like we didn't stay focused in the early days, and I think that's why it hurt us. Samcart as a product didn't get a whole lot better from 2016 to 17 because behind the scenes we were chasing all of those things. And it took going through that. I think every entrepreneur has to go through that and realize from experience, like me and you can sit here and tell anyone watching, don't do that. It's a bad idea. But when you're in the heat of the moment and you got that shiny object, you're not listening to anybody else. I mean, it sounds so good. And it is. I mean, all those ideas are potentially million, 10 million, $100 million ideas if you can execute on them.
Yep.
But when you have a full business to run, you can't execute on them without hurting, usually, unless you have an incredible team of operation type people. You just can't do it. So it took those 18 months of getting distracted, trying other things, chasing a bunch of shiny objects where somebody, I'm guessing it was me and a couple other people, said, look, we can't do this. We have to get back to what we're good at, why our customers came to us in the first place. And that was kind of that. And yeah, it really, for us, one of the reasons that we kind of came back to focus, and just right now Samcart still basically creates checkout pages and now sales pages. But we haven't gotten into landing pages, opt-in pages, webinar pages, full websites, blogs, pure landing pages. And for us, it came down to the customer that we're building this for is someone that's doing minimum $100,000 a year. Yes, we have a ton of beginners that they come because Samcart is incredibly easy to use. And I actually think it's the best option for a beginner, because I don't think you need to be doing all the multi-step marketing funnel when you're just starting out. I don't even think you need a leads list when you're starting out. I think you need one page that sells your product, and you need to get damn good at selling, not getting people to opt in. Opt-ins don't pay the bills, sales do. And with your experience with Agora and a bunch of other big brands, there's a lot of big successful brands, some of the biggest and most successful, that don't have leads lists. And so that's just because all the gurus out there say build a big list of leads so you can monetize forever and ever and ever. Yes, I don't want to knock that. That can work, but I don't think it's the best option for beginners. But back to the point, for us, we weren't building this specifically for the beginners. We want legitimate businesses to use us, and I think that's why right now our average customer across all customers makes over $100,000 a year, and we have customers all the way up to $50-60 million a year. And so for us to accomplish that goal, to get them to sign up, we had to stay focused, because that's what they care about. They don't care about, they know how to build opt-in pages. You can do it with 500 different tools. They know how to build webinars. They know how to build squeeze pages or blogs. Like they don't need me to host their WordPress blog. They know how to do that. But for the other all-in-one tools that are out there, I'm not saying what they did is a mistake, because maybe if they're building for the beginner, what they did is correct.
Yep.
Doing the all-in-one, I believe, if your customer is the more beginner, that's the best way to go get them, because they need kind of everything all in one if they've kind of bought into that kind of marketing funnel business model. But yeah, so it was, how did we stay focused? One, we made the mistake of not being focused early on, and we spent 2 years suffering from that. And two, just getting really clear on, look, when we sell Samcart or take Samcart public, 5-10 years from now, whatever that timeline is, what's going to get us there? And what's going to get us there is building the best e-commerce platform that stays focused on helping our customers make more money and lose less money. And in the end, nothing else matters. They know how to do email marketing. They know how to do landing pages. They know how to do blogs. We don't need to go do that for them. So getting clear on that is, in the end, what kept us focused on what we're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that it's what you just said is, it struck me. It's really true. Like I talk a lot, and everybody that's watching this probably might think that somewhat hypocritical. Like I said something different before, but saying something different now. But there's a nuance here of what you said about people that build, focus on lists and building a big audience and then monetizing on the road. I've talked a lot about that in the past of how it's a great thing to do. The caveat is when you know your numbers and you actually have great products and you have everything really dialed in. Right? Like we can afford to do that for our political business because we know all of our numbers. We know what our conversion rates are. We know that an email lead that, we know that, hey, last month SMS, we made $65,000. We know with email, we made $100,000. Like we know those things. So we can afford to invest in building an email list or however we want to structure it. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they like out of the gate, they start running, doing a webinar or lead gen, and they haven't perfected their actual offer. Right. So it's a lot easier to get somebody to opt in to watch an hour of free content than it is to sell them on $1,000 product or even $100 product.
Yep.
So what's important is perfecting that message, perfecting the pitch, perfecting the offer. If you have that perfected, then it's easy to, build out a funnel and get people into the ecosystem and convert them, because now the offer is great. It converts. And if it converts on cold, like, hey, nurturing somebody in a funnel and getting there, it's going to convert even better. It's I don't know what it is, and I'll get your opinion on this in a second of what your thoughts are, and you can think about it while I'm talking. But like, I don't know if it's the ease at which people can now start ecom businesses, the ease at which they don't have to actually invest any capital in starting a business. Whereas, 10 plus years ago, you had to put a lot of time and thought into building a business because you needed real estate, you needed to have employees, you need to have inventory. It's a big decision. You go to get a loan from a bank. And now anybody can go to AliExpress and say, hey, this scratch off map, it's hot and I'm going to sell it. And they just create a Shopify store, throw up a product page with a generic picture, scratch off world map, $100, slash through it, $10 today, 5 left in stock, no description, no brand, no nothing. And they're like, why is nobody buying my stuff? And if you look at the top ecom companies, the brands that are really, really crushing, like the brands that are scaling to, high 8, 9 figures a year, you look at like, the Caspers and the Purples and all of these, these amazing brands, the Rituals, the Hymns, the Romans. Like, if you go to any of their stores, like any of them, you're not going to see a generic Shopify page, right? You're not going to see just a shitty product image with a generic title, with a fake scarcity and no description and like 2 fake reviews. You're going to see really
Yep.
well thought out, well built product pages that have a brand. There's something to them that differentiate that product from another product, even if it's something like a mattress. Like, that's what's crazy about like mattress companies like Casper
Yep.
and Purple and Neck. Now there's hundreds of them and they're all hot. It's like, it's a mattress, but it's, again, at the end of the day, my wife and I, we bought a, $6,000 Sleep Number bed. That's stupid, but we did it because we went to Sleep Number and the person walked us through like white glove experience of laying us on the beds, talking us through it, getting our numbers dialed in. It was like a 30-minute process. And then it was like, no brainer. This is amazing. Right. And it's a mattress though. So I'm curious, like, because you see a lot of product pages, you see a lot of ecom entrepreneurs, both good and bad, probably more bad than good. Like, what your thinking is as to why there's a lack of effort or investment put into actually creating killer pages and actual, like, a real brand behind something and just rushing to get it up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is when we're all starting out and we see somebody peddling, essentially a get rich quick thing. Hey, you don't need any product, no money up front, no nothing, no website. Click this button, this store pops up. Click this button, this crappy product gets ported in. Click this button, your Facebook ad is made, and then the next day you're a multimillionaire. I mean, that sounds great. Like, I would sign up for that. That sounds fantastic. But in the end, number one, you got to remember most people fail at actually getting that done. They cherry pick the one case study that the guy actually made money. They don't show you the actual profit margins. They don't show you the amount of work they put in. And so in the end, I think a lot of the reason why people fail is because they're just not real entrepreneurs to begin with. That it sounds good, it's not really that critical to them to make it work, or they're not going to put in that much effort to actually see the thing through. So you end up with a bunch of people that just have these crappy looking e-commerce stores and no one's making any money for it. And then they bitch and complain that it doesn't work. So in the end, it was the mindset that you went in with to begin with that is why everything you're creating looks like crap and doesn't work, because you thought you could actually get rich by doing, like, you heard that sales pitch and no red flags went up whatsoever. And I'm not blaming those people. I mean, I was a beginner too, and I fell for the same stuff. But you go through that enough times and realize this doesn't really work. Let me start gathering more information, see if other people are making this work, see where the real businesses are playing and what are they doing, and let me mimic them instead. And you quickly realize to build a legitimate business on the internet, you need your own products. You need your own brand. You have to build an actual business. You have to actually work hard at that business. You have to love the market that you're playing in. Picking a random product off, some drop shipping wholesale website that you could care less about is not the way to build a business that's going to be here in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. It's going to be a flash in the pan, if anything. And then what do? Like, you got to get lucky again and pick the right product. I hate that business model. I don't like the affiliate business model. I know a lot of people that make a lot of money at both. So I'm not saying that they're not legitimate or they can't work. But in the end, if me and you took all of our mutual friends and took everyone that's making over $1 million a year on the internet, and between us, we probably know hundreds of those folks.
Yep.
How many of them don't own their own product? What percentage of them don't own a brand, don't own a product, and are truly living this like beach lifestyle where they're working 1 hour a day? I don't know anyone like that. And I know everyone in this space. I don't know a single person like that. I know a couple people that pretend, but they're full of shit. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
so
you're
in the
100%
end,
right.
like,
No, I'll let you finish there. I have to jump in because that stuff, it drives me crazy. So I'll cherry pick on the back, but finish your thought there.
no, yeah, I mean that's that's the soapbox. So it's, and I don't blame anyone for wanting to believe that. I want to believe it. I want to believe that's true. I mean, you can sign me up first, but in the end, it's, you got to build a real business. And in the end, you have to own your product. You have no control over your brand, your business, anything. I mean, what happens if that product goes out of stock? You have no control over bringing it back. As an affiliate, like we get affiliate checks here. We recommend products all the time, but I don't depend on those. Like, we try not to even look at them. It's just icing on the cake that comes in, because we don't control that. What if that business goes out of business? What if they don't support their customers and I get the shit for it? Like, I'm not going to build a business around someone else. It doesn't make any sense. So in the end, I think it can be fun little side projects. I think you can make, a lot of people make good income there, but to build your livelihood on that, I think it's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think it's all about understanding what your short-term goals and what your long-term goals are. And I think that's where a lot of people I know of that have, a year or 2 years ago, I saw hundreds of ads from them and I don't see anything from them, and they don't exist anymore. Is they focus exclusively on today and they didn't do anything about tomorrow, right? And that's probably one of the most common mistakes I see. Probably two big common mistakes. One is people believing that you can, buy a BizOp course and you can make money your first day and get rich out of the gate. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see. And it's unfortunate, but you look at people like Bernie Madoff, like he convinced some of the most wealthy, smart people in the world to give him money, massive amounts of money, year after year for decades. And even in, economic downturns, when they were still getting their return, like anybody with like, a 70 IQ would have known this is too good to be true. But it's that greed. It's when you're getting paid. I think people probably even knew it was too good to be true, but hey, I'm making money, so I'm not going to say anything. So that's one thing. The other thing is the people that make money today and again aren't building an asset that they can actually sell down the road, that they can monetize down the road. And for us, that's what's exciting, knowing that, hey, we have an SMS list, we have an email list, we have these assets that day after day, month after month, we can, push out our products, we can, monetize them, and the business can make, 6 figures a month off of those cents. And this is something that somebody can buy down the road, because hey, if it's an email list that makes 6 figures a month, guess what? People want to buy that. That's an asset. And so it's a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make. We made it in the early days, and it's a challenging point to get past. So what I found, and I'm curious when you kind of got to this point, for me, it was, this is when it happened to me. Like, you spend so many years, the first decade I was doing anything entrepreneurial, like, from college basically to, probably 4 years ago, I was never took a 9-to-5 job, never got paid by anybody else. I've never, since like crappy, freshman year college jobs, like have gotten a paycheck from anybody but myself. And so every month you're just surviving when you're getting started. It's pure survival. And so when you're in survival mode, all you care about is the now. I need to make X this month so I can pay rent, so I can eat, and so I can, have a car, like basic things that you just need to pay. And so the way you operate is very short-sighted because it has to, because it's just survival, like primal, like that kind of lizard brain just takes over. And it's like, we're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not thinking about next month. We're thinking about today, how much money you can make today. The problem is you get to a point where you no longer have to worry about that. You're making more money than you have obligations to spend each month, right? but your brain is still in that survival mode. And for me, that was a hard thing to get past, was like
Yeah. Yep.
mentally telling myself I don't need to make more money this month. I can start thinking about, hey, maybe I make less money this month or next month, the month after, but we're building something that a year from now we can sell for $5 million, $10 million. Um, and that was one of the hardest things for me to make that switch mentally. Really, really hard. I'm curious for you. Like, did you go through a similar experience?
No, I mean, I kind of had the opposite, which is probably why I'm wired the way I am. And I can definitely see not wanting to break that pattern. I mean, if you're in that desperation mode, then yeah, everything I said in the beginning, you can throw that out. If affiliate marketing's paying the bills, if your little drop shipping thing, like you have to make money now and it's working, it, everything has nuances. So in the end, if you have an urgent situation and you have an affiliate marketing business or a drop shipping business and it's paying the bills, I'm not telling you to stop doing that. I'm just saying don't expect that business to be still making you money a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, because you're not building a true asset.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I can see how if you're in that mindset, like you were, breaking out of that could be terrifying because nobody wants to change or screw up something that's working right now. You're like, look, I just did these actions last month that made me that money. Why would I go change that right now? I don't want to be back in that same tough situation I was in. But for me, so I graduated college in 2009, came back home, got married, I'm in the like DC area, so everybody here either works for the government or works for a company that gets paid by the government. So I had a boring 9 to 5 desk job, like a government contracting job, and I mean I was just absolutely miserable. Um, I have no idea why they hired me. I guess they just kind of hire anybody with a college degree around here, and was just sitting at a desk all day, surrounded by guys that are a heck of a lot older than me. That would, you know, a couple guys near me were probably like 60, 65 years old. And I could tell they weren't doing a whole lot of work during the day. They'd read the newspaper for like 2 hours a day at their desk, but they were happy as clams. And that scared the hell out of me to think of myself being at that age, having done nothing but sit at this damn desk all day. And so that's when kind of my journey started was I got to get out of here. The good news was that job was paying me a great salary, benefits. I had a nice apartment with my wife. And so I was not in that mode where I had to make money because I had bills to pay. The bills were paid. I had a good, steady job. But I just hated it and had every reason to work as hard as I could to get out of there. And so it took me like probably 8 or 9 months to figure this whole thing out, to start making any sales. It took me another year or two to start making more money than I was making at work. And slowly but surely I got out of there. So yeah, I was never kind of in that same mindset you talk about, but we definitely had times in the business, like after we started our first brand online and I was full-time, had a couple employees, and we hired a little too many people. This was back way before Samcart. So we had bills to pay from the business, employees, rent, all kinds of stuff. And we kind of got on that launch business model process, and we built a business that had expenses that would match our best months. And you forget, not every month is your best month. So we had that kind of a cycle for 2 years where we were just pulling off these launches every 4 or 5 weeks, like huge launches, because we were like a one-trick pony. It was the only way we knew how to make money. And so we were working our butts off. I mean, probably like 60, 70, 80 hours a week, because we had that same mindset of like we had gotten ourselves in too deep with expenses, and the only way we knew how to get out of it was this one trick of doing a product launch. And it took a while to get out of that. And that was one of the other reasons why starting Samcart back then, outside of the fact that we really needed a piece of software that helped us do what Samcart let us do back then, was the idea of recurring revenue, that we could get somebody, we could flatten out our revenue over the year instead of having to do these big launches where if they bomb, like we got to lay people off or take pay cuts or whatever the scenario is. So yeah, I guess my origin story is a little bit different than yours, where I had a nice cushy job paying the bills while I figured this out. But then I kind of got back into that same scenario because we just ran the business like idiots and hired way too many people based on some, really fluffy numbers.
Which probably made it even harder because like for me, I didn't know anything else. So it wasn't like I had something that I knew previously where like maybe this isn't like all it's cracked up to be. This is like we're working
Yep.
way too hard on making no money. And I had this thing over here which bored the shit out of me, but like I wasn't stressed and anxious every single minute every day thinking about
Yep.
just the how I'm going to pay people and how I'm going to pay myself. So it is interesting. I mean, everyone has different stories and they all have different challenges and different journeys, but you're right that like if you've been doing this long enough, at some point you go through really really tough times, and unfortunately, I I don't know if it's social media to blame. I don't know what's to blame. I don't know if it's a human flaw, but like it's it blows me away when I especially younger entrepreneurs that I might like try to mentor or like just ask me questions on Facebook and stuff, and there's this perception that like there's no struggle, right? It's just like I start a drop shipping store, I start an agency, whatever, like, and month one, I'm making $10,000, $20,000, and it just does this forever, and like it just grows, and it's all happy, happy and stuff because I see people on Instagram, and that's what they do, and they're traveling the world every single day, first class, and it's
Yep.
it's fascinating to me, like where this mindset came from, where there's zero risk, all reward, which just doesn't exist. It's not the real world. I don't know a single person, and I'm sure we know probably all the same people. Anybody that's actually successful, that's actually made it, all struggled for years, like struggled for years, either in the beginning or they, middle of the business, certain part of the business went through really, really tough times where it would have been a lot easier to just say like, I'm going back to a 9 to 5. Like I can't, I'm just going to throw in the towel and it was a good run, but I'll maybe try it one more time down the road. But for now, I'm going back.
Yep. No, yeah, I mean, everything you said. I think it's spot on. I mean, I don't think social media does us any favors. It's fun to look at, but you got to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. I mean, everybody, is they're not going to put the pictures that they don't want people to see on the internet. Like they're not going to show how terrible their life is on Monday afternoon. They're going to show the picture of when everything was fine by Tuesday. So you gotta remember that stuff. That's why I don't even I can't remember the last time I checked
I
social
can't do
media,
it, man. I can't
any of that
like
stuff.
I we talked about it before it went live, where it's this conflict for me personally because we have this info business and we have a mastermind, we have all this stuff on the info side, and like it's built on me teaching and sharing, and part of that involves like putting out content and putting myself out there, and I just don't like it. Like if you go to
Yep.
my Facebook page or any other social media account, like I post maybe once a week on Facebook, and it's this video that I do because I want to do it. Like it just happens to be content, and because it's people need to understand, like you said, there are 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 for every human being. Like those people are showing you a glimpse of a fraction of their year you're seeing. And it's super easy for any one human being to like cherry pick the greatest highlights of their year and share those throughout the year. And that's all you're seeing. It's like, wow, this person's life's amazing. It's like, well, you're not seeing the other 23 hours and 59 minutes every day. It could be just pure hell. Like you're not
Yep.
seeing, hey, this person looks like they travel the world and they have all this money. Like we're also maybe not seeing the fact that they're behind on their bills and they have a $75,000 Amex balance that they're getting letters from and the stress that's causing them. Like you're not seeing any of that. You're just seeing what they put
Yep.
out there. And it'll be interesting to see like the direction of social and just this whole world over the next few years. Like
Yeah.
if it just
100%.
continues to go down this path where it's just more and more and more superficial and edited, or if eventually there's like a bubble and a breaking point where just people want genuine transparency and reality. Because
Yep.
it's for me, like that's what I want to see. That's why I like having conversations like this. And that's why I spend a lot of time just talking to friends on Zoom, especially during this COVID thing, like just sharing, just like chatting with people and like being real and authentic. And unfortunately there are people out there like I've tried having conversations with certain people, gurus and influencers, just because it's mutual connections. Hey, let's hop on a call. And like, there's been a good amount that like I had one conversation, could never speak to them again. Cause it's like, it's the phone call's fake. It's like the whole phone call's about their how good their business is doing and stuff. It's like, dude, let's just talk. Like, I just want to have a conversation with you. Like, let's just
Yeah.
be genuine and transparent and share things. Like, there's no audience here. This is just us having a conversation. It's
Yep.
fascinating for me, at least, like that divergence there.
Yep. No, I mean, I think we're more similar than we think. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in kind of our space in the software world for, entrepreneurs and building marketing tools and stuff. And, a lot of them have different approaches to growing, where some people, the logo, the brand, the product is kind of the focus. Some people, it's the CEO or some spokesperson at the, kind of at the top. And I'm sure we leave revenue on the table because I'm not out there constantly and speaking on stages and posting to Instagram and everywhere else. But I'm just not going to do that shit. Like, I'm sorry. Number one, I don't want people, it's no one else's business what is going on in my personal life. And I could take pictures from every single vacation my wife and I have taken, especially pre-kids. I mean, we were going places every other weekend. It seemed like things have changed quite a bit now, which you'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's, I'm just, to me, to go down that road feels fake. And all those pictures would be legit. All the places that we've been, the house we live in, the cars we drive, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have to fake any of it, but I don't want to put that persona out there that my life is better than anybody else's, because number one, what makes my life good is not those things. So I don't want to be seen as someone who thinks that all those things are the most important things in life. For me, I get as much of a high helping my mother-in-law's ballet studio as I do growing Samcart on some days, because it's just a challenge. It's
Yep.
fun. It's starting from ground zero. I can put a couple hours of effort in on the weekend and change her business, change her life, her employees' lives, because some of the things that we know, having done this for a long time, can revolutionize a business. I mean, overnight. And in the end, that's what matters to me, is not the trips or the money or any of that other stuff. It's the actual challenge for Samcart. It's what we talked about at the beginning. What's fun at Samcart for me is figuring out where the puck's going to be, figuring out how can I be a step ahead of everybody else so that I can help our customers reach more of their own customers. And so I'd rather post pictures on social media of those things, but nobody would follow them because it's not, a sexy car or a nice beach somewhere.
Or it's not a 10,000x
I don't know,
return.
the people that respond to that kind of stuff online. Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of goes back to the whole drop shipping affiliate thing too, that I think that whole building a business off of those things is a house of cards to begin with. I don't want the customers that come because they saw a picture of the car I drive. Like, that's the wrong motivation.
Yeah.
I want someone who is blood, sweat, and tears into their business, will do anything it takes, and they don't care if there's a sexy car at the end. They just want to build a great business that helps a lot of people. And the money's just a byproduct of that. So, to each their own, but yeah, I don't really feel like posting on Instagram 100 times a day. So you don't see my face a whole lot of anywhere these days.
Yeah, frankly, I'm too lazy. My wife and I were joking about it. We did our gender reveal last week, which was weird because we did a Zoom call because we can't do
Yep.
anything. So it's this whole pregnancy has been challenging. Like, I can't go to the 20-week visit, which is like the full body scan, because they're only allowing her to go. So a lot of things that kind of suck for a first kid. But we were doing the gender
Yeah.
reveal, and so we are gonna have all of our family on Zoom, and like, it was the first time in 7 weeks that I put on non sweatpants. We were joking about it. It's like literally the first time in 7 weeks that we've actually put on normal clothes and like cleaned the kitchen and stuff.
Yep.
And like, that's us. I couldn't imagine, like, it's so much effort just to do that. It felt nice to like get dressed up and like change things up for a bit. Like, today I'm actually getting a haircut because I haven't got a haircut in like 8 weeks, which is just driving me crazy. But like, it's for me, it's always felt like work. It's like I gotta work to do these things and get like dressed up and like do that stuff. And I'd rather just do what I like to do, which is like, we like to watch Netflix and hang out in bed and like play with our dogs. And that's who I am, and that's who we are. And that's like, that's who we share with the world, than force things. And what I'll tell the people, especially people that are watching this and they're thinking about getting into an info business or something like that, is in the long run, you will make more money being like genuine than you will being somebody else. You might make more money in the short run. Like, I'm not going to lie to people and say like,
Yep.
hey, you're going to make just as much money being like, transparent and genuine and real as you would showing off your $200,000 car and watches and stuff, because that's going to attract the low hanging fruit. But eventually, like that, the quality of customer is way lower, the lifetime value is way lower, and they stick longer, they're less loyal, they jump ship more often because they're looking for quick things.
Yep.
We've just found like our info product customer base has been incredibly loyal. The retention rate on our monthly subscription program has been really, really high. And it's because like people are there because they believe in us and our mission and our values and the way we've been authentic and transparent. And that has real value. And it's hard to look past that. It's hard to look again, you're not play the long game, but I can tell you like
Yep.
it's a real thing. It's hard to do
Yep.
in the short run because take a little bit of a hit money wise, but like it's way easier in the long run. It's way easier on you. It's way more fun. It's way more enjoyable, and you make a lot more money when all said and done. So that's my piece of advice on anybody thinking about getting into like that industry. If you're on the fence about it, you
Yep.
don't have to fake it to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think for me and you, it would be fake if we did it, but I'm sure there are people out there that they love doing that. They love kind of putting themselves out there. They do live that life or whatever it is. I'm not saying everyone who does that is fake, but I think in the end, your business has to align with you. You have to enjoy every part of it, or it's just not going to work. And if you're in it for the wrong reasons, it's not going to work. But if you're in it for the right reasons and you kind of focus on the things that you like doing, you will succeed. It might take longer than you want. Again, no one's going to make any promises of how long it's going to take you to get there. But, I mean, for me, it took almost 2 years to start making any legitimate money whatsoever. But I really wanted it to work. So I was willing to do anything, spend any amount of time to make it work. I think that's why, we're at where we're at today. And if you have that mindset, I don't think nothing's going to stop you. It might just take you a little bit long to get there. But
Yeah, 100% agree. It's I have one more question for you. I'll share one quick story. Like Howard Stern, this is probably 2 years ago, had Adam Levine on his show, and this story always hit me. And he's like, he asked Adam, he said, how many of your buddies that were like musicians like failed, like didn't make it, right? And what he said was interesting. He said, all my friends who loved what they did and never were 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 100% of them made it. Meaning like the friends of his that slept on couches of friends, that didn't take the side gig, that didn't have the 9 to 5 and work the weekend gigs, all of them made it because that's all they had. They knew this is what I needed to do. This is my passion, my life calling, and I'm going to make it work no matter how long it takes. And the people that were like half in, I kind of like doing this, but I'm in it for the fame and making money. I want to make money now, so I'm going to take the 9 to 5 and play weekend gigs. None of them made it. And I think the same thing is true with entrepreneurship. It's like,
yep.
if you're building something that you love and you're passionate about, you're going to work harder, you're going to work longer, you're going to work smarter, you're going to outlast people, and you're not going to settle for anything else. And so like, to me, like with the transition to that, because I promise there's actually a point, is with Samcart, like what's the play? In an ideal world, it's 2022, 2025. Like, where do you want Samcart to be as a company?
Man, great question. The fun part about the business that we're building is there's a bunch of different possible outcomes. And for me, I'm not dead set on one or the other, where I've kind of always had that approach where I think the end goal will show up when it's time for it to show up. In the meantime, I'm worried about building the best e-commerce platform for our customers that we're going after. And yeah, we have revenue goals, we have headcount goals, we have all kinds of milestones and benchmarks that we're shooting for. If you said 2025, I'd say we're either really darn close or we've already sold this business, or we are starting to realize that an IPO is a possibility. And maybe neither one of those are true. Again, I don't really honestly care which one of them are true. I think whether we sell or IPO or stay private and run you know, a fantastic business that helps a lot of people, and also makes a lot of money. In the end, we get to decide. I think no matter what happens, the good news is I didn't have to give away control over this business to start it off. We had a great business that was able to fund it. We were bootstrapped from the beginning. So we get to stay in control of our own destiny. So as far as the end goal, I don't really care as long as we have fun along the way. And as long as for me, having fun is overcoming those obstacles, is hitting whatever that next benchmark is, whether it's getting to 20,000 customers or getting to $30 million in revenue a year. Whatever those benchmarks are, they will always continue to grow. As soon as we hit one, we'll want to hit the next one. So my single goal for the next 5 years is that we hit every one of those goals that we make, and we have fun along the way and let the chips fall where they may, whether it's selling this thing or going public or holding on to it or whatever. As long as we're having fun, it's going to be hard to pull this business away from me, no matter how big the check is. And I think that's why we're all in this to begin with. Like we want to make money. We want to provide for our family. Once we get across that mark and you start hiring people, you realize how important it becomes to you to help your employees provide for their family. You start to realize how much your product actually helps people. That becomes a third huge priority. And so you have all these things that make this business that in the end, like that's, I think, why we do what we do, because it's fun, it's challenging, it makes us be better every single day. There's always a new problem to solve. If I ever get bored, I'm gone. I don't care if I'd have to fire sale this thing. For any business, I think the second you're bored, you're done. So, it's sort of an answer, sort of not. But
No, that's great.
I'm not one of those people that says, look, we are selling this thing in 3 years, and if we don't, we fail. Like, I think that's crazy to say stuff like that. I think in the end, if the opportunity presents itself and it makes sense for us at the time and we want to step away, we will. And if not, if we're having too much damn fun, then we're not going to walk away. We're just going to keep building this thing. If we want to go compete with Shopify, I mean, in the end, I kind of just realized a much quicker way to get to that answer. In 5 years, my single biggest goal on the business standpoint is that Shopify is scared of us, period. That's where I want to play at the highest level in anything I do, whether it's baseball as a kid growing up or business now. And the highest level in the e-commerce space is Shopify, yep. Company worth $40-50 billion a year, over 1 million customers. Like I want to play with them. We're not focused on, kind of the small fish that we might be competing with right now. That's not where we're looking to play. And I think 5 years is plenty of time to get there, and I hope we do. So
I love it, man. And I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. So want to wrap it up, give you a chance to anything. I know in our little pre-interview survey, which is very official, he said there was nothing to promote, but for people that are interested in, giving Samcart a try, learning more at Samcart, best place to go. Obviously, I'm sure it's samcart.com, but anything you wanted to share about the product, people that should be looking at it, trying it out.
Yeah, we're putting a whole lot of good content out on YouTube these days. Got the new studio that I'm sitting in set up, so
looks great.
We're sharing a lot of cool things that Samcart does, a lot of cool success stories. So that's over on YouTube. You can just search Samcart there and kind of get a feel for what Samcart is, what it's all about, if it's for you or not. There's a demo on the site if someone wants to just go kind of check it out, or someone on our team can walk you through it. In the end, who it's really for, we're for kind of the direct-to-consumer side of the world. If you're a t-shirt brand and you have 500 t-shirts, Shopify's the place for you to go build a massive store. If you're more direct-to-consumer, like a Casper mattress or Dollar Shave Club, or you're an ebook author or a physical book author, or you just launched a product on Kickstarter and you're looking for a simple place to, create a product page for your product that converts to the highest level and actually has a real e-commerce platform on the back end to support your business through the 6, 7, 8, 9-figure level. That's who we built this for. Whether you're a beginner or you're already making 6, 7, 8 figures. So yeah, if you fall into any of those categories, I think we're probably a perfect fit for you. I would definitely come check us out. Let us know if you have any questions. Yeah, that's kind of the spiel.
Appreciate it, man. Well, it was great chatting with you, Mr. Brian Moran of Samcart. I look forward to doing this again. And check out samcart.com, everyone.